Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. For today's workshop, I'm going to be doing a simple little painting based on a feeling. Now, we just came back from a really long walk with Mia, and we went along the trail, and it was honestly the safest part of the walk. It was just a lot of snow where the sidewalks are just a sheet of ice. So I thought I would do a painting on a book of background and based on cold, the word cold. The reason why I'm picking this theme is because when I was on the walk with me and Joe was talking to this gentleman that we met. He had a dog, and dog owners love to talk to other dog owners. And I was talking, and then they got onto a topic that didn't really interest me, and my eyes kind of wandered looking around the bush and stuff like that, and I found, I'm going to grab it, and I have to be careful with these because Mia is just obsessed with this stuff. I found these corkscrew type of branches. Now unfortunately she broke it because she grabbed it as what we were walking the door, and this one belongs up here. I thought what I would do is I would use this as my jump off point to create a little winter scene. I'm gonna put this back. I'm actually standing it up in a paper towel holder as my still life. I thought I would use it as my jump off point to feature this little painting based on cold. For this particular book of backgrounds page, the video that shows me doing this technique along with all the supplies I'm going to be using can be found at the end of the video, so you don't need to take notes. This is honestly the only background I could find that would work for what I want to do. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to end up covering a lot of the cracks because it doesn't serve any purpose. It would be cool if I could sort of figure out the design to work ice into this, but ice is not what I want to feature. I want to feature a cold winter scene with a branch for a little tree growing. And because this is this way, I'm going to do the painting this way. I'm one of those people that I don't like my journals being different shapes. I like looking at them straight on. And it's just the way I am. So for this, I've got the colors on my palette. I'm going to call them out. They're the DecoArt Traditions acrylics, and with this particular color, I'm going to explain why I put it on the palette. So I have ultramarine blue, yellow deep, raw sienna, brown madder, burnt umber, titanium white here, and then peridot orange over here, because I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I think I am, but I'm not sure. Brown madder is a color I rarely use. I had put on English red oxide, which I also rarely use, but it's it's more opaque red as opposed to English red iron oxide. But the bottle of paint, the paint was all gummy, so I think I left it. The cap must have been left open, so I put out this one here. I could color mix my own, but I just want to have this as a very, very quick little painting. Brushes, I've got a number 5 and number 8 shader. These are a Bristle Bright. These are new brushes because the other ones are drying. And I've got a number 6 shader, a number 8 round, and I've got some fabulous fine point liners I'm going to use for the trees. Twiggy trees, you got to do them kind of shaky, like you've had too much coffee. Brush basin, I've got my scrubby brush, little heart-shaped pad in by the sink to clean the brushes. And what I forgot to mention in all the videos that I'm doing is that I get asked every once in a while what I'd use to clean my brushes, and I don't just use soap and water. I use 1000+ stain remover. I wet the brushes, 1 drop, massage, rinse under water, and worst case scenario, I have to do that twice. And it's a really good cleaner. It's non-toxic and it's Canadian made. So that's what I use. So there we go. But what I do is with these is when I put the cleaner in here and I massage the brush, then I go over that scrubby pad like this because the paint gets right inside these bristles, especially the bristle, the actual natural bristles. The golden Taklon, I don't do that. It's these ones here because they get right inside close to where the ferrule is. because I'm sloppy with my brushes. So the idea I'm having for this is I'm just going to do a little winter scene, completely freestyle. I don't have a sketch or reference photo, and it's just basically to cover the theme of cold. And I contemplated even not bothering using this page because it's not going to help me any. It's actually going to work against me. But we'll see what happens. Looking at the sky outside, it's absolutely beautiful outside. And I'm just testing some colors first to see where I want to go with this. So I'm going to see how this works. So for those of you that have been following me for quite a while, you know exactly where I'm going with this, and I want the cracks to show through. Ultramarine blue and white start at the top, dark at the top, and we fade down to where the horizon line is, which for my piece is going to be right about here. Okay, so my painting is going to be more about sky, and this is not working as well as I was hoping because I've got the crackle medium right here from when I did the background, and it's very, very slippery. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use whatever color I have. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to use a darker, the blue, and I'm just going to block it in, which will create some tooth. It's going to create some tooth. I want to try keeping those cracks because that can lend to being part of the branches. I'm looking here. Do I have? I do have a bigger brush, but I can't reach it. That's actually kind of cool. Just turn this upside down because my hand's tired. Doesn't take long. Now when I do a landscape, I don't do them as often as I used to because I'm so busy doing portrait work. I would use a large hake brush and then work my way down. Now, the one nice thing with this is that it is taking a long time to dry because it's really slippery. I just don't want to cover up too much of those cracks. Oh man, this is more tiring than the walk. Okay, let's get some more white. Keeping in mind the acrylics dry darker than they appear when they're wet. We have a bit of tooth here. Now, if I were to thin this paint down with water, it would just sink into all these cracks. I don't want to lose the cracks. I also have to make sure that I'm getting it now. I am going to put paper towel down and yeah, I'm going to have to wipe that because the back of that page is finished. I'm just going to get some Clorox wipes. This is the problem with working in a journal where you have something other than landscapes. I don't want to mess this up. Yes, I could tape wax paper to the back of this. Yes, that's a smart thing to do. There we go. And this is already dry, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right. And then for this section right here. Now I'm going to go the opposite, light to dark, but just going to be a little bit more careful how I do this. Depending on how your painting style goes, oh, I forgot a color. Depending on how your painting style goes, you could make it a gradation. I'm going to add a speck of dioxazine purple. So dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, a little bit of brown matter, and some white. And it'll make a mauve. A bit more brown matter. This brown matter may be a little too red. I'm going to hit that with a bit of burnt umber. I want a gray, a grayish, bluish gray. Looking on my paint rack, there is a blue gray there that actually would work quite nicely. I want this to be very, very dark. Very, very dark, because we're going to use the darkness of the block in and use just basically a tinted white for the snow. Let's go up a little bit more. 1/3 is the rule, and you kind of want to show either more ground or more sky. Pick one. Now, the color for the tree that I'm painting, I've got the inspiration actually from the tree outside the window, which is rust colored. And that's what I'm using as my inspiration. And I'm just, this is all dry now, so now I'm going to work it up the other way. So this layer here is just to create the tooth. It's still a little bit tacky, but it's just to create the tooth. I'm going to grade down the mix a bit, just by taking my white and blue and going into here. Horizon line, everything is warmer and darker at the top, and as it goes down, it gets lighter and cooler. And now what I'm doing is I'm using the brush very dry, and it's just grazing. I'm going to hit that with a little bit of water. It's just grazing all the peaks here. And what I'm doing is I'm basically covering up all the shine, which is the crackling medium. I don't want any crackling medium to show through, because it's very hard to paint on. I could have, now that I'm thinking about it, I could have put probably a layer of matte varnish on this, which would have probably would have worked just as fine, just as good. Let's go up here now. In oils, this would have been a piece of cake. A little bit of water. I don't want to put too much water because it'll sink into the cracks. And we need enough contrast. I'm looking at the sky now, and the sky is actually almost white. It's really, 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 really light. So you can think of basically these sides being almost mirrored. Next time, I use a bigger brush. This is taking too long. Phew, there we go. Looking at the sky outside. It's not as dark as this, but I can always go over it with a little bit more light paint. Make sure it's gray. No, sorry, make sure it's more warm. A warm blue. You ever notice that when you want your paint to dry slowly, it never does, and when you want your paint to dry fast, it never does? There we go. Okay, now I'm going to hit this with the heat gun so I can start putting in some snow, and then we'll paint in our tree. Okay, this is dry, and I thought I would try something. Acrylics dry much darker. This is way too dark for me. So what I'm going to do is, I've got, oh, I forgot to get this. Oh, goodness. I've got a large brush, and I dampened it in water because you can't use these dry. Because if the paint dries inside them, then forget it. So just going to put a little bit of extender and blending medium. Cover the whole painting. This doesn't leave any solids behind, so what you paint is what you get. Going to go in with white and just go into some of my dirty paint here. That's actually pretty good. Start right here, and then work my way up. And as I work up, I run out of paint. See the difference? I'm going to pick up a little bit more paint, a little bit more color. I need a speck more purple, a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of brown matter, a little bit of ultramarine blue. Nice grayish color. There's no clouds in the sky. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. That's better. That's a much better color. Looking at the sky, it's not even that color. That's okay. Work it down. Work it, oops. Work it down and fade that out. Here we go. See the difference? The color of the sky now, looking at it. Looking at the color, this is a very, very warm. Well, purple and blue aren't classified really as warm, but purple has red in it. Ultramarine blue is blue that's on the red side, on the purple side I should say. The color of the sky outside right now is that. When I look at it, that's the color. That's the color at the horizon line. And up at the top is just that. That's the color. It is really, really light. I mean, look at the difference. So work it. It's still wet. And as you run out of paint, start at the top. Not starting to tack up, so I'm going to have to get my button gear here. There we go. Oops, got a little bit of blue in there. That's all right. So instead of putting the extender on the painting, I'm just going to put it in my brush. This will have some wonderful contrast with the tree. For the record, I don't like doing paintings on a table. I want my canvas. I want my easel. I want my easel. All right, so that's actually pretty good. Pretty good. And we're going to do a rough block in there. So I'm going to put that aside. Now, I'm Gonna hit this with the heat gun. Be careful when drawing with a heat gun when you've used the blender and the extender blending medium, because its primary purpose is to make paint more transparent and to extend the drying time. What you don't want to do is, purposely put it close, or else you'll burn the page and you'll burn your paint. What I like to do, and I've done it so often, you just put your hand down, and as long as your hand can stand the heat, you're fine. But it is taking a bit of time. It's getting there. And I found a little speckle here. I'm not going to worry about that because we're going to cover that. So now I'm going to take white, primarily white, with a little bit of blue. Now when I do snow, I'll usually put in a little bit of yellow or stuff. I'm doing this so simple. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to lay the snow down like this, and I'm going to let the texture of the piece dictate what's happening. And the further down you go, the darker it should be. So then we flip the brush, come back up here because that's where it's the brightest, come down and let the paint run out of the brush. This mix actually may not have been dark enough. So now I'm just using the brush. I'm not going to load it with any more paint. And I'm just going to pick and choose where I see some stuff happening. Try not to leave any extremely dark pockets. Just slightly cover them up a little bit. There's a big crack here which is kind of working against me. So if I pick up a little bit more paint and just lay that in like so, that actually helps. That's not too bad. Just make sure you don't use pure white. You can get away with using pure white on an oil painting, but not on an acrylic. Then I picked up a little bit of the purple, coming down here for some of the shadowed snow. Don't want to leave anything just with too much purple in it. Pick up a little bit of white, come down here. So it's the same thing, darker at the bottom and lighter as you get to the top. Lighter and more gray. But I'm going to kind of make this here like so much to soften that just into the background, just dry brushing, dry brushing, dry brushing. So we don't get a hard edge, that we kind of just mystifies right in the back. Dry brush, dry brush, dry brush. And I'm using the new brushes because they've got that nice chisel edge, which, you know what, won't last. Not because of the brushes, but because how abusive I am. And I can take some of this gray, which I'm now almost out, and make a little bit more purple, blue, both browns, and now a little bit of white. I don't want it to be so purple though. That's too purple. One color I was thinking about using was phthalo blue, but phthalo blue could be dangerous. Not because of using it in the painting, because I get it all over the place. So I'm just kind of tying in some dark areas here. This is where I'm going to put the tree, so I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. You need dark to so light, so if I'm going to put the tree here and I want the snow to kind of be mounding up around it, so I need to put a little bit of darkness here, and I'll just fade it in. I had brought out my mop brush because I was thinking I could get away with just fanning the sky, but it actually worked out pretty well. Okay, now go in, dirty brush with a little bit of white, and I'll come in, reload. This is where you want the texture. This is the ice. Tons of water that had melted down and froze. Pretty good, pretty good. And just lay the brush down so the texture of the canvas can, or the texture of the paper can grab it. I usually work on a canvas. I don't want to make my corners the exact same. And composition wise, you know, all artists are different. The edges could be a little bit darker to contain your eye in the middle, but then you can use little tricks, you know, shapes of stuff to, you know, lead the person's eye around the place. But this is not this type of painting. This is just having a little bit of fun. Okay, this brush here, I'm just going to dip in water like this and then just hold it up. I don't want to clean the paint off there. And are we dry? Oh, no, we're not dry, but let's put my DNA in there. Oh, yeah, I got my fingerprint. I don't know if you can see right there. See my fingerprint? So there we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go with the heat gun really high up just to accelerate the drying time on this, because now we have to put the tree in. And when I put the tree in, I'm going to be blocking it in with burnt umber. And what I don't want is the white to mix in with that. So I'm just going to dry this up very, very slowly though, but I'm not going to waste time on camera doing that. So it'll probably take me about 10 to 15 minutes with the heat gun, then take a break for 5, the heat gun, take a break just to speed this up. Alrighty, so this is not 100% dry, but it's enough that I can work with. But as it's drying, noticing that the cracks are really, really coming back. So this, I'll be able to work with this, no big deal. So now with the shape of that tree, that monster tree. So I'm going to basically start off with a block him. Very, very thin paint, but no more than 50% water, otherwise you break down the glue in the paint. Maybe even 60%. Round brush, and just getting the consistency right. So I'm going to take my branch. Oh, and now Mia's looking at me going, "Oh, Mommy!" So I'm going to hold it back. I'm going to start right here, and I'm holding it in my hands. And around. It's coming up like this, like this, like this, like this, oops. Like this, come out, and I'm going to stop. And where it comes out here, I'm going to guide it here, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to put that brush aside. Now I'm going to grab this Fabulous Point liner, the largest one. Now, these here, I can't bring these into Canada anymore. I think it's because of the type of bristles that are used. But you can use a regular liner, because look at that. It holds all the paint into the big part here. And what I want to do now is I want to use this basically to get that going. You need a lot more paint in there. It holds so much. Another brush that would work is a sable, but they're expensive. And all I'm doing is I'm not even looking at the canvas or my paper, and I'm just only looking at the painting to place my brush down. Pressure up, down. Oops, you can't even see. Up, down, up, down. So I'm going like this. So if you look here, I'm going like this, like this, like this, like this, and it makes the branch fatter. I really messed up this one, and I realized you couldn't see. Okay, where do we have here? We have an itty bitty little thing growing out round up here. No, right here. I don't know if I can do this so you can see. Come here, a little bit of pressure. And as it comes around, and it's gonna squiggle, 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 like so. I'm gonna have to adjust this a little bit. Thing is, every time you come back and adjust it, it doesn't look real. But then this branch here, that doesn't look real either. Okay, it comes down, and let's see, right here, and go up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It doesn't look exactly like that, but you can't paint a tree to look exactly like what's out there. It just doesn't work that way. And let's see. Okay, the piece that was broken off, thanks to Miss Mia, where did it go? It was right up here, so I'm going to put this back now. And so I'm just gonna, what's gonna be probably this way. I'm gonna say, where did it come off? Oh, it came off round up down here. And I think it was actually like this because, right like that. Okay. See, this would have been easier on a canvas, people. I've got another painting on there. Okay, pressure. Oh, more water. And you know it's okay to make noises, right, when you paint? I know you sound like an idiot, but who cares? Who cares? That's too smooth of a line. I don't like that. I don't like that line. And we have another little one. So up, down, and then we have this piece here. Comes around. Oh, two branches don't grow that way. Mind you, I've never seen a tree like this. This is along the trail, and this is just a branch. This is not the actual tree. But I just loved the shape. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, jeepers creepers. So I'm going to put that aside. Now, let me see this. See? This is just the branch. Somebody came to the door. Mia went on a barking frenzy, and to try to put the branch back, look what I did. I splattered everything on the painting. What do? I cry. I give up. I think of how my life is over. Oh my God. You never worry about stuff like this. Accidents happen, my goodness. But when I was learning how to paint, stuff like this, oh man, I would have been so mad at the dog. And Joe's downstairs in the basement. Now we're there's 2 floors between us, but I can hear him using the Ryobi cordless nailer because he's making the medicine cabinet. And I'd be mad because I could hear, oh, you know what? There's worse things in the world to be worried about. Just have fun. Life's too short to be spent worrying about everything. In the same respect, where's my round brush? Now these fabulous, the point liner, I'm dipping in water and then I'm holding it on the side. That I won't let sit in water. Especially any of the Taklon brushes and natural hair. Because they're natural hair, they'll get bent out of shape. So I'm just going to come in here now. I'm just going to lay the paint down. Now this tree here actually is straight, like so. I don't like trees that are straight like so. And I'm going to work with this. So I'm just coming in now, just putting a little bit heavier paint where it's shadowed. So I'm still working with burnt umber. I don't want it to be terribly transparent. And just going by short, choppy lines to fix little things. Okay. I can come in and put this a little bit darker because I'm going to put the snow around it. And rinse that brush. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to grab now my little number 6 flat, and I'm going to take some brown matter. Now this is the inspiration for the tree that's outside. And I'm going to touch, just like tappy, 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 a little bit of brown matter over. It's actually the tree outside looks like it's rust. And I'm just going to touch this in some areas because I'm kind of coming too with the yellows as well. Look outside, roll back. The sun is coming from this side. So that's not the way I painted this, so I painted it the sun coming from this side. So the brown matter is actually going to be the shaded side. Because of reflective light, it's not dark, dark, dark. In real life, this tree is not this color. That's fine. And don't put continuous lines on stuff. Break the lines up. It makes it more interesting. In saying that, paint it any way you want. I'm going to go in now to, what's this? Raw sienna. On the other side, on the dirty brush. Because what I'm doing at the same time now is I'm building up more opacity on the tree. Shaky, shaky, shaky. And how many of you are asking, how is she going to get the highlights on those little branches? I'm not. They're so far in the distance and they're so tiny. These little itty bitty bobs, I'm leaving them. Because if you look outside, you don't see. Crap. Sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Let's see if I can edit that out. You don't actually see color on these little branches. Well, I don't on the tree that's outside. The tree that I see that's outside is such a beautiful rust color. But lay it down. I am not used to I'm not used to painting on a table. Not for stuff like this. Oh my God. I want my easel. That's just funny. That is just funny. Okay, let's get back in here. It's not dry. It's not dry enough. Come in. Oh, that's funny. Oh, now I made it worse. Look what I just did. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Oh my God. Okay. Raw sienna, yellow deep. That was raw sienna. This is now the yellow deep, which I don't think is going to be light enough. Going to put a little bit of white in that. I'm going to make up a mix that when I was doing a lot of landscapes, my sunshine mix, but I don't have my yellow with me. Let's see if I can get away with it with this. Oh, this isn't bad. Yellow, orange, and white. And the yellow that you use is completely up to you. I want it just slightly tinted. I'm going to try it first, and you don't put this everywhere. And this is little bits of snow that are kind of accumulating, little bits of highlights. Touch that in. Not too much. On a canvas, and I would just rub that down. You know what? This, to me now, this is leading up towards a painting idea that I have, like on a, this would be really cool on a tall like tall and skinny canvas. This would be really cool. This is just highlights that I'm putting in, and the highlights technically would only be reaching the parts of the bark that stick out. And it wouldn't be a continual highlight. It wouldn't be a continual highlight. We're not painting a metal rod. Not sure if I've ever painted a tree this small before. And overlap. I want to let my tree dry. Oh, there goes a table saw. Dry, and grab my snow brush. There we go. We have a snow brush. And we're going to come here, and we're just going to snow. Oh, so pretty. It is actually this beautiful outside. It is actually this beautiful outside. As soon as you pass Lime Ridge, then it's really pretty. We don't see all the roads the road is covered with slush and guck. Slush and guck, that's a nice technical term. Nice technical terms, slush and guck. This side would technically be a little bit darker because the sun's coming from this side. So I can, with a little bit more white paint, come in here and just now go back and enhance an area. Keeping in mind the cracks in here are going to work against me, so I'm not going to let that bother me too much. It is bugging me, but I'm not going to let it bother me too much. Take a little bit of white paint and just kind of where I see where stuff is heavy, I'm just going to put that in. I don't like that. Wipe it with your finger. Oh, wipe it with your finger. You know why I didn't like that? Because I had a pattern the same. If you've done painting with me before, you know that we like to do stuff that's random and to get interesting shapes, negative space painting. And you don't want patterns developing in your painting of line. You got to keep stuff random and moving, and this is where you could, if you have a mirror or a camera and have it facing down, and then you can just have that on, and then look at your camera, your monitor, as to what you're doing. If you've, what if I can grab some of this? I don't know if I have anything left. Not really. I hate to make up more color. I'm going to make up a speck more. So dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, brown madder. I think I called it English red. I think I called it iron oxide last time. Get that gray going. More on the blue side, not the purple side. A bit more burnt umber. There we go. Wipe out as much as you can on your brush. Now take a look. I want to really enhance those dark sections here. And I'm just dry brushing. Not like this. I'm laying the brush flat because it's going to catch the texture. Come right over here because this area is darker. I need to put a little bit more light there because the sun coming down from this way, this part here is not really shaded, but that's okay. I'm going to load my brush again, wipe most of it out. Remember, darker on the bottom and lighter as you go towards the top. Oh, this is just stunning, except for these flippin' finger parts. This is just me being overly critical. I had a student one time called me anal about the stuff that I do. This is just the part of me that comes out when it's the theory, the composition stuff, saying, I know it's not supposed to look like this, but let's just have some fun. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white now on my dirty brush, and I want a much lighter value. And it's going to come in, it's going to highlight a bit more snow. I swear that painting is becoming more and more difficult with the cat being here. I had to stop because the cat jumped down off her perch, and Mia decided, I want to play with the cat. I'm going to... I brought in a couple of extra colors. And I'm going to have to fix this part up. That's actually pretty good. Let's tweak this. I'd rather go with a small brush to tweak it than a big brush, because a big brush, if I make it too big, then there's no way that I can fix it. Little brush, it's easy to fix. Let's see if I can see. The problem is you can't see what I'm doing. There we go. So a lot of the cracks and stuff that are in here, nothing I can do about that. I brought in some Indian yellow, and because Indian yellow is transparent, it's not the true Indian yellow. You want to know what true Indian yellow is made from? Look it up on the internet. You'll be disgusted. Or maybe not, depending on the gross factor that you're used to. And just hitting with a little bit of yellow on the parts that are really exposed, right on top of the white. Just hitting this, little bits here and there, not everywhere. My tree's not yellow, but see here there's a solid line. I need to break that up. So I can come in with a little bit of the brown matter and break that up. I don't want a solid line anywhere. Take a little bit of white. I can even take some of the, not that white. Now let's just hope that the animals can be quiet for another 5 minutes, because that's all it's going to take. I can come in now and just going to lay a little bit of snow inside the crevices. There wouldn't be a lot of snow on the tiny parts of the branches because they're exposed to the sun, and the snow would actually melt. I don't like this one. I'm going to hit that with a bit more white. Where did it go? This one here. So you can just put a little bit, little hits here and there. There should be a little bit up here. Oh, let's see. Not anything too bright here because this is in the shadowed section. A little bit more white. Try not to put too much of that because it really stands out. This, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do, but that's a crack there, an annoying crack. And let's see if I just take what's in this brush here. This is where you can really do some beautiful detail work. You got to be careful about dry brushing with tack-on brushes because you could ruin the brush so easy if you have a lot of texture on there. So I'm coming in down this way, down this way, down this way, up here. And let's bring the eye back into the painting. Not too dark here though. No, sorry, not too light. I don't have enough paint on my brush and I don't want to put too much on there. I can always cover that up. Should be darker here. I really want to make sure it's not just a big piece of texture here. It's not letting me get the paint in there. You know what I'm trying to do here, right? I'm trying to get a nice hard line because with all the zigzagging, I want to make sure that it bring the eye back into the painting. But I don't want it to be too dark here because it is a much lighter. This is a much darker section. Now I can come in with the burnt umber and just lay that in there. Pick up some brown madder. And we're almost finished. I like laying the paint on thick on trees. Because it's all about the texture. Just want to make sure that I break that up. I don't want to see continual line. And I can take this opportunity to come through and just glaze over some areas with the brown madder, areas that are just a little too light. I'm going to take burnt umber right here. I'm just going to glaze over that a little bit. And this piece here, just going to darken it a smidge. There's a really big crack here and it's making it a little bit difficult to have this branch make any sense. Branches are thick and then they grow thin the further up they go. This has got some really interesting curves. But the same respect, when I look at the branch that's here, it is thick. Then there are parts that are thin, but it's thick further up. So it's always great when you actually have something real to work from. A little bit of raw sienna right in the wet paint. Ooh, darn crack. The cracks in this piece, this crackle, it's actually creating a little bit more work than I would have actually liked. So we got the root systems coming out here. Here we go. Just gonna darken just this back. More dirt than anything else. There we go. A little bit of white. Let's just kind of lay a little bit of snow here. There is so much happening right here with the cracking, and it's just flaking off. The paint's just flaking off. There's unfortunately nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do about that. It's just too much texture. But that's okay. At least we were able to try it. Next time though, I'll actually do a proper background. I just didn't have anything in the book of background journal that I could have used. Let's go see if I can fill this up. The tree is still wet. And I'm just going to go back with some burnt umber, and then we are done. I want to make that little nub a little bit bigger. I'm not even looking at the reference material, the actual branch now, because I veered off it so much just because of the background. But it does create an interesting concept and an idea, a really cool idea for a painting, and I am going to do one. I have a 12 by 24 canvas, and that would turn out so cool doing it on something like that. And grab some Hensa yellow medium. Let's hit that with a little bit of light, not too much. Let's get a little bit of brightness. There we are. So there we go. We have a nice little painting here. And it can be used as a study for something else. Look at that. Just use your finger. Basically, I'm just come back in with a zigzag. Zigzag, come back up, and then I don't even know if I want to try doing this again. Making sure it goes back in. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want to muck around with it anymore. So I hope that you enjoyed this, that you give it a shot. You know, just go outside and do a painting based on a feeling or a temperature or an emotion. It's a lot of fun. But you might not want to use a book of backgrounds background. It's you saw how easy it is. You can do the same thing on a white canvas. It's so easy peasy. This looks, so other than this speck right here, which there's nothing I can do with, this looks like it was a painting done and just cracked over age. Isn't that cool? But you can see all the crackle medium still showing through, but it would make for a nice painting. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Until then, stay inspired.